Hello, guys. Welcome back to your Best Self podcast, the podcast where we're talking all about how to become your best self. I'm your host, Adriana. Today's episode is an interesting one. We're going to be talking about how to take back charge of your life. Essentially, how to stop seeing yourself as a victim, get out of the victim mindset, and take back control of your life. The truth is that a lot of us go through stuff in life, but the way we react and we come out of them is what makes us a winner in life. And the way to do that is only by realizing that you have control. You have the power to do that. No one will come and save you, so you owe it to yourself to pick yourself up no matter how many times you fall down, because you are all you have. The quality of your life is determined by you and you only. And that's a whole lot of power. It's power to create either a really, really beautiful life or a really, really miserable one. This video is a wake-up call. It's for the people that are genuinely ready and are really done and completely fed up with being a whiner and that want to make a change in their life that will stick. So let's get into it. I think we all know that one person that is a long-term complainer, you know, the guy or the girl that constantly has something to complain about, that has some drama going on in their life, and they're constantly seeking attention and reassurance from the world that their life really, really sucks. And the thing is, everyone complains, guys, like including myself. I have been a big crybaby for numerous occasions in my life because life has its seasons and sometimes we have to face the winter. We have to deal with the rain. But for me, the way I deal with it is that I don't sit down and dwell on something. I take the time that is appropriate for each problem to complain about and whine about it. Okay, like after a day, a week, I just find it unreasonable and not productive to still sit and whine over that. You know, I feel like my grace period has expired. So I feel it's time for me to get my act together. I sit in front of the mirror and I say to myself, it is what it is, let's fix that. And if we cannot fix it, then let's move on. We think by talking about it, complaining about the issue and going on and on to our girlfriends, to our friends, to our family members, we think that is helping us. But the truth is, it's just toxic. And it's toxic towards them, but most importantly, it's toxic towards ourselves. We get ourselves stuck in this victim mentality and we complain, and we basically, what we do is tie our own hands because we magnify this problem that is going on and we let it take over us. So when we are that zoomed in to the problem, we are unable to see the big picture. We are unable to find a solution. All we see is problem. But if you take a moment to zoom out, and then you'll be able to see, hey, this is not as big as I thought. So a lot of you or have experienced or you have seen, you know, that friend group or that friend circle that all they do is come together and complain. They're sitting around and going one by one, who has the biggest problem, who has the most jack of a boyfriend, whose friend stabbed her in the back, who's gossiped who, and who said something nasty about them. And all of this becomes a vicious cycle. It becomes a hobby. It becomes an addiction. They make it into a competition. Who is going to have the biggest drama? Who is going to have the biggest problem? So the rest of the group will focus on them and feel pity for them and sit and analyze their problem. So the conclusion is this becomes an addiction. They do it because it's comfortable, because they expect certain attention and they know that their friends are going to tell them, oh yeah, like, you're right, or oh my God, how could they do this to you? So they end up being the victim of their own story because everyone else's confirms it. And of course, people feel comfortable with that. They enjoy being the victim and they want the reassurance that other people give them so they can feel at ease to just sit down and say to themselves, hey, look, everyone is telling me and that I'm not to blame here. So poor me, look at me, I can't do anything about this situation. They think like, there's nothing I can do to fix it. People just did me bad this way and I have no other option but to just sit back and see my life go up in flames. I relate that mentality with the same mentality that a person will have if they saw their house on fire and they don't just go and get water to put it out, or if the fire is too big, they don't go and call a fire department to come and put it out and save what can be saved. But what they do instead is to go and round up the neighbors one by one and start complaining about it to them, that their house is on fire. It's the mentality of there's nothing I can do because how could this happen to me? And most often people acting like that are people that went through different trauma, and this is their trauma response. They're used to having trauma. They're used to having drama. They're used to having conflict, lack of peace and stability in their life. And if their life is not in shambles for even 1 second, they feel like something is wrong. They're just used to be in agony, in anger, in stress, in anxiety, and misery, that when something is going good in their life, their immediate response is, oh, this is not gonna last. Or, oh, this is gonna start creating issues. There must be something wrong with this. And when that thing doesn't create an issue, then they go and create them themselves. Your environment makes you. So if you were brought up or experienced such an environment for a long-term period, the state of constant panic and living in survival is normal and comfortable for you. You innately just give yourself the label of the victim and that things keep happening to you and that there's nothing you can do. And for a big chunk of your life, this might have been true since you were young with zero coping skills, or you were like in an unfamiliar situation where you didn't know how to react and how to protect yourself. But the issue is when you grow up, but your coping skills don't. When you attach yourself to the tag of the victim, it's very hard to get out of it. It's like something happened and you break your leg, right? So obviously you're gonna take some time that you want to, heal, complain about it, be heard, and so on. But after 2 and 3 months, years go by, and instead of trying to get back on your feet and try to walk again so you'll be free from this misery, you decide to sit and whine and say, oh my God, why did this happen to me? There's nothing I can do about it. I can't walk. I can't go anywhere. I'm relying on other people to take care of me, but I'm doing nothing about it. I'm doing nothing to start walking again. They basically think that they're handicapped now because that happened to them. In both situations, what you fail to realize is that you are the only person that can do something to change. In both situations, what you don't realize is that you're the only person that can do something to set you free. You're the only person that can say, okay, this sucks, but this happened to me. I complained a lot about it, but I won't complain about this anymore because it brings me no use. It brings me no emotional release anymore, but it just puts me down and it gives myself and everyone around me the impression that I'm just a loser and a whiner and someone to look down upon. I'm gonna take responsibility of my life. I am gonna do what I can do to get myself out of this. Because even though it might not be my fault that I ended up here, it becomes my fault if I end up here forever. Every Everybody goes through stuff. You're not special. And the people that you go to complain have stuff too, but they don't come up to share them with you because you will be like, oh, well, or even worse, you will turn it towards yourself once again and how you have it worse. So you turn it into a competition that, of course, they can win. So they just take the message and stop mentioning stuff to you. I used to have a friend like this when I was younger. He was a very good person, but they had things going on at home. So it was always about what new drama is going on in their life and how people were treating them and how they were ignored, them and their needs. So you felt bad for that person. So when they wanted all the attention of the conversation on them and their issues, you showed understanding. You wanted to show up for them, right? I showed understanding when I brought my issues to discuss, but they simply ignored them. Or they showed like not real consideration. You understand, you show compassion. You know that these type of people, they're so traumatized and so overwhelmed and submerged in their own trauma that they literally have no emotional space to show empathy and understanding towards you. They have no time and space towards you and your needs because they are literally in survival mode. They're trying to cover up their needs that are barely covered. So you understand, right? You get it. Like, they cannot pour from an empty glass of water. But when you are the only glass of water of the two that keeps pouring and pouring and pouring without getting even a drop in return to compensate for your lost energy, then guess what? One day you get depleted and you realize that, hey, I better start saving that energy of mine because I will end up having nothing for myself. And then how will I have water to fill my own glass? And that's how people start to detach and grow apart from long-term complainers, from people that are in the victim mindset again and again. That, and they also start to meet people who give back water and share their energy towards them. So it's like a fair interaction and fair transaction for them. When you start engaging with people like that, it becomes entirely impossible to accept the behavior you accepted before. The truth is that 50% of people don't care about your problems, and the other 50% is happy that you have them. So, girl, pick yourself up and don't give those people a chance to look down on you, to feel pity for you. Being vulnerable with the people that are close to you is important. No one is strong 100% of the time, and showing that sensitive side of us makes us human and more real. And that's why it's of course important to show that side of you. But it's all about balance. You don't want to show a strong exterior 24/7, but you don't want to seem like a damsel in distress that is constantly weak either, right? The first one makes people fear you, and the second one makes them pity you. Becoming a winner in life is figuring out how to be in the middle. Life gives each and every single one of us challenges, some bigger than others, some sooner, and some later. Nonetheless, none of us is immune. Realizing that every single human being on this planet has to or will have to deal with something in their life that will bring them down, and that life will not be constantly perfect, is just such an eye-opener. You realize, hey, this person had this happen to him. And instead of sitting and whining for the rest of his life, he decided to take it upon himself and take the responsibility of fixing his own life. And look at him now. This situation made him mentally and emotionally stronger than anyone around him. And at the same time, he did good with his life. So he took the crap that life gave to him and he turned it into gold. Now, that's what I call a winner. You might think, oh well, but that person had this quality and this characteristic, and his character was stronger than me and I'm not strong. Well, if that's what you choose to tell yourself, then this is what you become. It's just another excuse you're telling yourself to get out of the responsibility of start taking your own life in your own hands. You should be more motivated than anyone to not let situations define you and your future. Because at the end of the day, life is in your hands and your hands only. No one can come and take over for you and fix it. And if you think that this is what's going to happen for you, then I have news for you. So it's time to make the decision. It's time to realize that the only person you should complain to is yourself, because yourself is the only one that can actually do something about it. You have cut down your own wings long enough. It's time to test them and see where they can take you. Because trust me, it feels a million times better to be able to fly or even half fly with your own wings to experience life than being dragged after by someone else. Either way, you have to remember that the choice is yours. So choose to take over your life. Choose to not let this issue take you down. Choose to have your moment of complaining, and after a day, max, say to yourself, enough. Now, what can I do to take myself out of it? And if I can't take myself out of it, what can I do to move forward with my life? What are my options? What are my choices from here on? Trust me, if you have an intention of getting out of that situation and moving on with your life by shifting your energy away from that issue, all the momentum will slowly subside, and the momentum is going to start building towards the new way you're focusing on. The reality is that you're an infinitely creative being. We all are infinitely creative beings. There's nothing about your experience that is not your creation. Every last detail. Your inner and your outer experience is created by you. And you can understand that this is the truth by paying attention. And of course, your mind's first reaction will be like, no, that's not true. Why will I create this misery? Why will I create this sadness and anger? Whatever it is, if it's me that creates all of this. Well, that's because you do it largely unconsciously. In order to be successful in anything in your life, then you want to be doing all the creating consciously. But what have you been doing until now is creating your experience unconsciously. And that's why you have these results that you might not be satisfied with. And I mean, take an inventory of the thoughts you have every day. And you can tell me, just by looking at them, how many of these thoughts, how many of these feelings and reactions you have in your everyday life are you happy with? If you really look at it, you will realize, well, I don't have a lot of this that I'm happy with. Most of my thoughts include anger, they include disappointment, they include lack, limitation, and so on. Well, then here you go. How do you expect your life to create any different circumstances if your main feelings and thoughts are constantly negative? The goal is to experience thoughts and feelings that are in alignment with what you want. The people you see succeeding in life are the ones that have that figured out. They're having 80%, 90% of their thoughts and feelings being in alignment with what it is that they want. But instead, most of society, what they're doing is the opposite. They have 90% of their thoughts being anxiety, being fear, being worry, being jealousy, and so on. So that's what their reality manifested in their life. Most people, of course, do it unconsciously. This fear and this anxiety is so well established inside of them from maybe the length or intensity of them experiencing those feelings that they just end up creating these unconsciously for themselves. And no matter how positive they try to be, if they do not uproot those fears from their subconscious and make them conscious, then this will continue happening for them again and again. Like positive affirmations and positive thinking is just a patch that is not going to cover the big wound you have under. If you have internal bleeding, you can't just put like a little like plaster on it and be like, okay, now this will be fixed. But that's why it's so important to remind yourself that you are the creator of your reality. And this will allow you to get back control and stop allowing all external circumstances and all external situations to determine your life and where you head in life. So first things first, the biggest challenge in taking control of your life and taking charge of your life is to know that you are the one in control. So you need to cultivate awareness of your true self. Most of the times we fall victim of our own perception of ourselves. We perceive ourselves as vulnerable beings, as victims of situations and circumstances that is rooted in the complete lack of awareness of our innate power. Or because we were aware of this, but we have forgotten it. We forget that we are actually able to create the life and the reality we want. Understanding one's thoughts and emotions is crucial for consciously creating, because these thoughts and feelings are the elements that generates continuous frequencies. Frequencies that send signals to your mind that creates your reality. Right now, I have showed up and I came up and manifested in your reality to give you this advice as an outside teacher, right? But I'm just merely a reflection of your inner teacher until you realize that the inner teacher that is the truest and only right teacher guiding you all along is you. And you allow you and your inner teacher to finally take over. You finally realize, hey, this is my path, my journey, whatever. This is the only thing I can fully trust to take me where I want and where I'm meant to go. So you need to discover who you are. You need to discover your powers and use them confidently and competently. Unless you have confident and competent command over your powers, you will remain fearful. You will remain a victim of your own reality. You need to have a calm command of your reality. You need to realize, hey, I'm creating this. Realize that everything is happening in your imagination. All your experiences are subjective. Your experience is through your thoughts and your sensations. Everything is happening in you. You're the dreamer. You're the person that creates those thoughts and emotions inside of your mind and your body. And therefore, you're the person that creates the physical reality where those thoughts and emotions materialize. That's important to realize, because until now, you're thinking that this is happening outside of you. And as long as you think that it's not possible for you to feel secure, you won't. You won't be 100% secure unless you know absolutely and without any doubt that there's only one thing happening, and you are that. You have to know that throughout your experiences, you are the creator. You must be able to get what you desire, what you really want. And I'm not talking about materialistic stuff, but if that's what you feel called to do, and if that feels true to you, and then this is what you need to get. Because only then you'll be able to prove to yourself that you have absolute control. Until then, you're gonna remain fearful. Until then, you're gonna remain a victim. You're gonna remain powerless. So remember, guys, we go the direction we face. So make sure whatever you're facing is pretty damn good. Thank you so much for listening. This is it for today's episode. I hope you got some value. And let me know what you think about this in the comments. See you on the next one.